Legendary actor and director Robert Redford has passed away. He was 89 years old. Robert Redford is in more of my favorite movies possibly than any other actor. When the news of Robert Redford's passing broke, fans around the world mourned the loss of a Hollywood legend. But when details from his autopsy report surfaced, they revealed truths that left admirers utterly speechless. Behind the charm, the iconic films, and his tireless activism, the findings painted a portrait of a man whose life was as complex as it was extraordinary. No, I didn't say draft, I said wind. There's a Paris northeasterly wind blowing in this room. What hidden struggles did this cinematic giant endure? And what surprising revelations came to light in his final chapter? This is the story behind those stunning discoveries. Robert Redford's final bow. Legendary actor and director Robert Redford has passed away. Robert Redford's death at 89 marked more than the loss of a man. It closed an extraordinary chapter in Hollywood and American culture. Confirmed by his longtime publicist, Cindy Berger, he passed peacefully on September 16, 2025, at his beloved home in Sundance, Utah. There, nestled among the majestic mountains he had cherished for decades and embraced by the warmth of his family, Redford's final moments reflected the serenity and calm he had long sought. A life of passion, creativity, and influence ended quietly, yet resonated profoundly across the world. Initial reports revealed that the actor passed away quietly in his sleep, a departure marked not by pain or chaos, but by tranquility. Some U.S. media outlets speculated that cardiac complications may have been a factor, though no official confirmation has been made public. Yet one truth remains clear. After decades of creativity, energy, and a relentless pursuit of purpose, Robert Redford's story came to its close in the most peaceful of ways with a calm embrace of rest. Spring of Glad You Tape Live. This really hits me. He does. I feel that too. The news of his death spread quickly, sparking a tidal wave of grief that reached every corner of the globe. Fans, filmmakers, actors, and admirers alike took to social media and news outlets to express their sorrow, remembering the man who had shaped not only the silver screen, but also the cultural conversation of his time. But beyond the tears, there was also a profound sense of celebration, an acknowledgement of the extraordinary journey he had lived and the indelible mark he left behind. To the wider world, Robert Redford was a star whose name was synonymous with excellence. He was the charming outlaw in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, the enigmatic Jay Gatsby, the fierce journalist in All the President's Men. He was also the visionary director behind Ordinary People, a film that won him an Academy Award. And as if that wasn't enough, he created Sundance, a festival that became the heartbeat of independent cinema, and a lifeline for countless storytellers who might otherwise never have found their voice. Yet for all the spotlight and accolades, those closest to him knew a different side of Redford. To his family, he was not just the Hollywood legend admired by millions, but a husband, a father, and a grandfather. But I didn't see it was my job to do anything about it because it was just so pervasive. I just focused on creating an alternative. He was a man who valued honesty, connection, and meaning above fame. Despite his towering success, he remained grounded in the things that mattered most: love, nature, and truth. Robert Redford's passing reminds us that even the brightest stars must one day fade, but his light, fueled by decades of passion, artistry, and purpose, will continue to shine. His final rest may have been quiet, but the echoes of his life's work will reverberate through history, ensuring his legacy endures for generations. Robert Redford's life ended peacefully, yet his legacy shines brighter than ever. But how did he begin his journey from a modest upbringing and early struggles to become a Hollywood legend? Now let's uncover how tragedy, restlessness, and a daring adventure across Europe shaped Robert Redford's extraordinary path to greatness. From Santa Monica streets to dreams of adventure. Robert Redford's story began in 1936 in Santa Monica, California, far from the glittering lights of Hollywood where his name would one day shine. His upbringing was modest, rooted in the values of a working-class household. His father, first a milkman and later an accountant, embodied discipline, responsibility, and restraint. In contrast, his mother radiated warmth, nurturing her son's imagination and encouraging him to dream bigger than his surroundings. She was his anchor, the gentle presence who believed in him when he could not yet believe in himself. Looked at myself in the mirror and I said, "Who are we kidding? This is what you do. This is what you do well and like it." But that stability was shattered in 1955 when tragedy struck. Redford's mother died suddenly before she had even reached 40 years old. The The loss devastated him, pulling the ground from beneath his feet. At a critical time in his young life, already struggling to find his direction, Redford found himself drifting into destructive habits, drinking, academic troubles, and an inability to focus. The grief he carried became both a burden and a restless force that would shape much of his early journey. For a time, sports seemed to offer him an escape and a sense of purpose. Blessed with athletic ability, Redford earned a scholarship to the University of Colorado, where he pursued baseball. The discipline of the game and the camaraderie of the team gave him structure, a reason to push forward despite the storm inside him. Yet grief and rebellion soon resurfaced, undermining his efforts. His drinking worsened, his grades slipped, and before long he lost both his scholarship and his place at the university. Adrift once again, Redford turned to the working world, taking on a series of odd jobs to keep himself afloat. But the monotony of day-to-day survival couldn't quiet the hunger in him for something greater. And in the beginning, it was a surprise to me because I didn't see myself that way. Bit by bit, he saved what little money he could until he finally set out on a bold adventure, traveling across Europe. It was a decision that would transform his life. In Europe, Redford lived with little, sometimes barely enough to get by. He worked where he could, slept where he found shelter, and often lived hand to mouth. Yet those hardships became the foundation of something extraordinary. In Paris, Florence, and other cultural centers, he immersed himself in art, architecture, and the pulse of history. Surrounded by creativity and beauty, he began to see the world differently. What had once been restless wandering began to take shape as a search for meaning. It was in those years of uncertainty and exploration that Redford uncovered something vital within himself, a passion for storytelling, an appreciation for adventure, and a love for creativity. Though he did not yet know it, those discoveries would ignite the fire that propelled him into acting, filmmaking, and eventually, into becoming one of the most iconic figures in cinema. From loss and wandering, Redford's journey became a story that still inspires. Success. I think success is a double-edged sword. You want to shadow box with it, but you don't want to embrace it. But how did he balance Hollywood's dazzling fame with an unwavering drive for creative freedom and meaningful storytelling? Now let's unravel the passion and determination that forged Robert Redford's rise to cinematic legend. A reluctant star in the making. When Robert Redford returned to America after his travels through Europe, his path to acting was not the result of a long-held plan, but rather a chance turn of events. Almost by accident, he found himself enrolling at New York's American Academy of Dramatic Arts. At first, he was far from confident, reserved, unsure of his own talent, and still struggling with the turbulence of his past. Redford questioned whether he truly belonged in the world of theater. Yet within him lay a quiet fire, a presence that mentors at the Academy quickly recognized. They saw beyond his hesitation and encouraged him to channel his intensity, his restless energy, and his deep emotions into performance. It was this encouragement that slowly transformed him. Redford discovered that acting wasn't simply about memorizing lines. It was about living truthfully within a role, giving pieces of his own experience to bring characters alive. That raw authenticity soon became his trademark. His big breakthrough came in 1963 on Broadway with Barefoot in the Park, a witty romantic comedy in which he starred opposite Jane Fonda. The play was a sensation, and critics praised Redford's charisma and charm. Overnight, the once uncertain student had become a rising star. The role opened the door to Hollywood, setting him on a course that would define an entire generation of film. By the late 1960s, Redford had transformed from an unknown actor into a household name. His performance in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, 1969, alongside Paul Newman, did more than cement his career. It created one of cinema's most beloved partnerships. Audiences were captivated by the chemistry between the two men, and Redford's portrayal of the charming outlaw, the Sundance Kid, became an indelible part of his identity. It was a role he both cherished and struggled with, a symbol of his stardom that he sometimes resisted for fear of being defined by it. Success followed success. Films like Jeremiah Johnson, 1972, The Sting, 1973, and All the President's Men, 1976, revealed Redford's depth as an actor. He wasn't content with being just the handsome leading man. He sought roles that carried meaning, stories that addressed social questions, moral struggles, and the human condition. His choices showed courage, a willingness to break free from the glossy image Hollywood often demanded. Yet fame was a double-edged sword. Redford never felt entirely comfortable with the trappings of celebrity culture. He disliked the shallow spotlight of gossip columns and resisted the machine that tried to reduce him to a marketable image. For him, stardom was never the goal. It was merely a tool, something that gave him the power to tell stories that mattered. What he wanted, above all, was freedom. Freedom to create, to explore, and to shape a career on his own terms. Redford's rise proves that talent, courage, and creative freedom can redefine Hollywood stardom. But what drove him to explore deeply human themes, such as family, grief, and moral dilemmas on screen? And how did Robert Redford master the art of both directing and acting with unmatched vision? Let's delve into the answers. Behind the lens. In 1980, Robert Redford took a bold step that would redefine his career and leave an indelible mark on the Hollywood landscape. He moved from in front of the camera to behind it, making his directorial debut with Ordinary People. The film, a deeply moving exploration of family, grief, and human fragility, stunned both critics and audiences. It wasn't just another Hollywood drama. It was a masterclass in sensitivity and insight. What have you done lately? Lately? Hey, come on, if you listen, I'm never going to be forgiven for that. Never. Redford's work on the film earned him the Academy Award for Best Director, while the movie itself claimed the Oscar for Best Picture, affirming that his creative talents extended far beyond acting. Directing became, for Redford, more than a career move. It became a way to engage with the themes that resonated most profoundly with him. He sought stories that probed the heart of human experience, the complexities of family relationships, the moral dilemmas people face, and the vulnerabilities that make us human. Each project he chose as a director reflected this commitment. From the poetic and visually breathtaking A River Runs Through It, 1992, to the meticulously researched historical drama, Quiz Show 1994, and the emotionally charged The Horse Whisperer 1998. In every instance, Redford demonstrated a rare ability to draw out subtle, nuanced performances from his actors, revealing the depth and emotional resonance of each character. Even as he developed his reputation as a skilled director, Redford never abandoned his first love, acting. He continued to appear in celebrated films like The Natural 1984, where his love for baseball and the drama of sport came alive on screen, and Out of Africa 1985, where his performance was both romantic and commanding. This dual role as actor and director showcased his extraordinary versatility, proving that he was not content to be confined by the expectations of Hollywood. Night we went gambling, you remember? We had dinner at the hotel. Etta had roast beef, and I had chicken. Robert Redford's dual career as actor and director embodied a philosophy that defined his entire life. An unwavering refusal to be confined by labels, celebrity, or the expectations others placed upon him. For Redford, storytelling was never merely a means of personal acclaim. It was a way to explore the deepest human truths, to shine light on the complexities of life, and to give others the freedom and encouragement to express themselves fully. His work was a celebration of creativity, authenticity, and boundless artistic courage. In this way, Redford transformed his career into a living statement about creativity, independence, and artistic courage. He wasn't satisfied with merely following the well-trodden path of a movie star. He wanted to push boundaries, elevate narratives, and inspire both audiences and fellow artists. Through his work behind the camera and in front of it, Robert Redford proved that the power of cinema lies not in spectacle alone, but in its ability to reflect challenge and illuminate the human spirit. Redford's vision transcended Hollywood, fusing artistry, courage, and humanity into timeless cinematic brilliance. But how did he bring to life his lifelong belief in creativity, integrity, and the transformative power of storytelling? Now let's dive into the legacy he built for independent voices. The birth of Sundance. Although Robert Redford's acting talent and directorial brilliance secured his place as a Hollywood legend, many believe his most lasting and transformative impact on cinema came from founding the Sundance Institute in 1981. Most desired leading man, Redford was also an Oscar-winning director, the founder of the Sundance Institute and its film festival. What began as a modest nonprofit with a bold mission to guide and support emerging filmmakers rapidly evolved into a cultural phenomenon. Today, the Sundance Film Festival stands as the vibrant heart of independent filmmaking, a stage where daring concepts, unconventional narratives, and fresh creative voices are discovered and celebrated. Through Sundance, Redford created a sanctuary that champions innovation, courage, and the pure spirit of storytelling. Redford envisioned Sundance as more than a festival. It was a safe haven for creativity, a place where storytellers could experiment without the pressure of box office expectations or studio interference. The festival became a launchpad for talent that would eventually reshape Hollywood itself. Directors like Steven Soderbergh, whose Sex, Lies, and Videotape premiered in 1989, Quentin Tarantino with his breakthrough Reservoir Dogs in 1992, and Ryan Coogler, who introduced the world to Fruitvale Station in 2013, all found early recognition at Sundance. These filmmakers didn't just make movies. They challenged norms, broke conventions, and sparked conversations, proving that independent voices could change the cinematic landscape forever. For Robert Redford, the Sundance Institute was never about personal fame, glitz, or financial reward. Its purpose ran far deeper. It was a mission built on integrity, authenticity, and a steadfast belief that storytelling could reveal truths often ignored by mainstream cinema. He celebrated bold risks, welcomed unconventional voices, and offered opportunities to filmmakers who might otherwise remain unseen. His commitment stemmed from profound respect for the craft and a desire to safeguard the raw, unfiltered essence of storytelling. To Redford, Sundance was much more than a festival. It was a living, breathing movement, a sanctuary where creativity could flourish freely and where art could exist without compromise. Robert Redford's beliefs about life, creativity, and the importance of leaving a meaningful mark are reflected vividly in the lasting influence of the Sundance Institute. Through Sundance, daring ideas continue to thrive, and stories that challenge norms inspire reflection and spark meaningful conversations are given the space to breathe. In the wake of his passing, the festival's significance deepens, serving as a reminder of both the fragility of life and the enduring power of art. Just as his sudden death highlights how fleeting existence can be, Sundance remains a lasting testament to Redford's vision. Robert Redford has died this morning at his Utah home at the age of 89. A bridge connecting human mortality with the timeless, transformative nature of creativity. In the mountains of Utah, what he built is more than a festival. It is a sanctuary for imagination, proving ground for the next generation of filmmakers, and a lasting legacy that ensures the spirit of innovation, courage, and passion continues to echo long after his time. Through Sundance, Robert Redford's impact reaches far beyond the silver screen, shaping not just cinema, but culture itself. But what other facets of his life will be remembered for? Now, let's explore his activism, family, and enduring influence. A life of purpose beyond the spotlight. While Robert Redford's films and directorial triumphs captured global attention, his heart beat for causes far beyond Hollywood. After moving to Utah in 1961, he fell deeply in love with the rugged mountains, forests, and rivers that surrounded his home. Nature was never just scenery. It was a sacred part of his life, a source of inspiration, and a responsibility he embraced. Over decades, Redford emerged as a passionate environmental advocate, tirelessly raising his voice against threats to the wilderness with clarity, courage, and conviction. He championed conservation, climate awareness, and sustainable living, proving that his influence extended well beyond the silver screen. Robert Redford used his fame not just to entertain, but to speak boldly about the planet's most urgent challenges. He championed the fight against climate change, promoted renewable energy, and stressed the importance of protecting the natural world. Even in his 80s, his voice carried influence and demanded attention. In 2020, as devastating wildfires swept across the western United States, he openly criticized the lack of decisive leadership on environmental issues, proving that age never dulled his resolve. For Redford, activism wasn't just words. It was a reflection of a lifetime spent immersed in nature and a profound responsibility to safeguard it for generations to come. Robert Redford's personal life was a poignant mix of happiness and heartbreak, a journey that mirrored the depth and complexity of his characters on screen. Together with his wife, Lola Van Vogenen, he raised 4 children, savoring the joys of family while enduring profound losses. The death of his first child, Scott, in infancy left a lasting wound, and decades later, in 2020, the passing of his son David to cancer brought fresh sorrow. Yet through these trials, Redford's resilience never faltered. He faced grief with quiet strength and grace, showing the world that true courage lies not just in fame or achievement, but in enduring life's hardest moments with dignity and unwavering perseverance. Even in the later years of his illustrious career, Robert Redford refused to slow down. His heartfelt reunion with Jane Fonda in Our Souls at Night 2017 warmed audiences, while his striking performance in The Old Man and The Gun 2018 at 82 years old proved that his charisma, depth, and magnetic screen presence had not dimmed with age. More than half a century, Robert Redford mesmerized us with some of Hollywood's most unforgettable characters. Many wondered if he might finally retire, yet Redford rejected the idea entirely. For him, life was never about stepping back. It was about embracing every moment with creativity, curiosity, and fearless engagement, pursuing passion and purpose with unwavering energy right until the very end. Now, in the aftermath of his passing and the revelations surrounding his autopsy, admirers worldwide are left in awe, not only of how he left the world, but of the extraordinary scope of his life. Robert Redford's death may have arrived quietly, yet his legacy continues to thunder. In film, in environmental activism, and in the countless lives he touched, he remains a beacon of integrity, courage, and imagination. To actors, directors, conservationists, and dreamers across generations, Redford's life stands as a testament to the power of passion, the endurance of resilience, and the beauty of a life lived without compromise. But what do you think about Robert Redford's shocking autopsy? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.